All right, so after talking about the potentials in terms of who teams might get and might move, I found an article on teams eliminated in the first round, and this is the kind of stuff that's easy to miss when in the first and second round of the playoffs. There's so many things happening with so many teams. And now we're down to 4 teams. We're down to 2 series, 1 game a night. So I have plenty of time to look through this stuff and look at the 8 teams that got eliminated in the first round and what problems they may have going forward. And they start with the Bruins. And here's the funny thing. They say a Bruins defense core depleted by injuries contributed to the Bruins' first round demise against the Senators. That is absolutely... I won't say it's why. No, that's too far. Ottawa could still have knocked Boston out, but not having a healthy defense made it harder to take. It really did. Free agent options include Shattenkirk. He'd be an expensive addition. And then they say maybe a more affordable blue liner with a shorter term contract, like who? To transition young defenders such as Carlo and McAvoy. I think McAvoy's ready now. So, yeah. And there's still rumors that Boston's looking to trade Ryan Spooner and that they want something back that other teams aren't willing to provide. I understand both Boston wanted to trade him and teams not necessarily wanting him. I'm not sure what Spooner's ceiling is, if anything. I think what you see is what you get. And he's a good player. He's okay. He's able to produce at times. He's capable of filling in top 2 center spots if he has to. But I just don't know how much he's worth. So I understand that they're trying to trade him and that they can't find a good fit, because they understand that he's valuable to them, so you don't want to just hand him away either. Chicago, a lack of youth and speed on defense contributed to the Blackhawks getting swept by Nashville. Chicago Tribune Steve Rosenblum thinks the Blackhawks would ideally trade Brent Seabrook, but his age, no movement clause, and $6.8 million average salary makes him an unlikely trade candidate. Chicago Times' Mark Lazarus notes a high number of players carrying no movement or no trade clauses gives the Blackhawks limited cap flexibility, which happens when you win 3 Stanley Cups. Guys are like, well, we're a winning team. I want to stay here. And they get those no trade clauses. And a no trade, no movement clause usually means you're taking less of a cap hit than you would be otherwise. It's suggested by Mark Lazarus moving Nicholas Chalmerson because of his limited no-trade clause. However, finding one of the 10 teams the 29-year-old will accept being dealt to won't be easy. I still like Chalmerson. And again, when you're trading a guy, you have to get the value back. And that's the thing. When you're trading from a point of weakness, you're not going to get that value back. Columbus, freeing up salary cap space could be the Jackets' priority. It's been the Jackets' priority for a year now. They've got over $70 million tied up with 21 players with restricted free agents, Alexander Wenberg and Josh Anderson, to re-sign. Anderson will get a raise, not a huge one, but Wenberg is huge. Even with David Clarkson on permanent long-term injured reserve and the impending loss of a roster player to the expansion draft, the Jets need more wiggle room under the cap. And the guy taking expansion draft probably isn't going to be a big high-salary player anyways. ESPN's Craig Custance wonders if veteran winger Scott Hartnell might consider waiving a no-movement clause. The 34-year-old was willing to do so last summer, but withdrew the proposal when there were no trade offers. Given the Jackets' improvement this year, Hartnell could be keen to stick around. So basically, it's like, well, they could ask Hartnell, but he'll probably say no. Minnesota Wild. Another disappointing early playoff exit could mean some off-season roster changes. They risk losing a good defenseman such as Dumba, Brodin, or Scandella to the expansion draft in June. My guess is Scandella, just based on the fact that Dumba and Brodin are younger. I think Scandella is the one that'll end up being exposed and picked up. ESPN suggests peddling one of those blue liners for a young center. And if they did that, they'd have to expose one of their good forwards. The Wild also must re-sign restricted free agent forwards Michael Granlund and Nino Niederreiter, who hold arbitration rights and are due for significant raises to clear some cap space. Custance advocates exploring a way to move veteran winger Jason Pominville. given Pominville's $5.6 million annual cap hit, modified no trade clause, and fading production, a contract buyout could be the only solution. Absolutely. And then Pominville could be a useful $2 million a year addition somewhere. Maybe back to Buffalo. Montreal Gazette, reporting on the Canadiens now, believes the Canadiens must determine the intention of superstar goalie Carey Price, who's eligible in July 2018 for unrestricted free agency. Oh, that's the giant red button in Montreal. All of Montreal's dreams of being a contender. If Carey Price walked away as a UFA, they're gone. If Price won't commit to a new deal, Hickey suggests shopping him for a top-line center and perhaps a stopgap goalie to buy time until promising Charlie Lindgren is ready. Oh, so let's start the big rumors now, shall we? Antti Ranta and most of the Rangers' offense for Carey Price to see Lundqvist out. No. Let's try another one. Johnny Boychuk and John Tavares from the Islanders for Carey Price. And you throw in Jaro Halak. There you go. Greatest trade proposal ever. I know, it's terrible. The Habs must also attempt to re-sign UFA Alexander Radulov with restricted free agents Alex Galchenyuk and Nathan Beaulieu as well. Galchenyuk's going to get a lot of money. The 30-year-old Radulov could get a 5-year deal worth between $6 to $7 million annually. And I'm saying this now as a non-Canadiens fan. If he wants a 5-year deal in the range of $6 to $7 million a year, let him walk. I really don't see why he'd be worth $6 to $7 million 2 years into that contract, much less 4. So, you know, I wouldn't worry about it. I'd let him go. Given their recent struggles, and they're talking about Galchenyuk and Beaulieu, they could hit the trade block in June. They could be. I think they'd be crazy to trade out Galchenyuk, though. I think they'd be insane. That'd come back and bite him in the ass. For San Jose, CSN Bay Area's Ray Ratto wonders if this season was the last for longtime Shark forwards Joe Thornton and Patrick Marleau. Their careers winding down, they'll have to accept 1 or 2 year deals worth far less in annual salary than $6 million plus of their current deals. And they will. Both Thornton and Marleau, I think, would accept deals for half that if they felt they could help the Sharks keep their core together and go for another run. The Sharks have over $54 million invested in 15 players, and all of their younger core players under contract. Should they pass on re-signing Thornton and Marleau, they have sufficient cap space this summer to pursue younger scorers via trade or free agency. Young scorers are not usually available on the trade market. What I always kind of chuckle about when I look at this time of year is this is what this team wants. And then you look at the wants on every team, and they're pretty much the same. We want a young scoring forward. A top 4 defenseman would be nice. And you know what? How about a star goaltender? Oh, yeah. There's tons of that out there. Just tons. Especially with an expansion draft coming up. There are plenty of teams looking to move out young forwards who are going to be really good. Solid young defensemen and really good goaltenders. Those are always abundantly available, especially in a league with this much parity. The trade market has been garbage for years. I'm hoping with expansion that changes. Just for the summer, though. We'll be back into gridlock once October rolls around. Toronto Maple Leafs. Despite the Leafs' surprising improvement this season, they need a skilled, experienced top 4 defenseman. They could pursue Kevin Shattenkirk. However, ESPN believes a better option could be using left winger James Van Riemsdyk as trade bait for a blue liner whose contract doesn't extend too far into the future. I don't know how much you get back for Van Riemsdyk. I like James Van Riemsdyk. I like JVR enough to say that you're not going to get enough back to make it worthwhile trading him. Like Price in Montreal, the 27-year-old Van Riemsdyk is a year away from UFA status, with rising young stars Austin Matthews, Willie Nylander, and Mitch Marner to be re-signed within the next 2 years. JVR could prove too expensive to retain. Peddling him to clubs at risk of losing quality defensemen in the June expansion draft, such as the Anaheim Ducks or Minnesota Wild, is a possible option. JVR to Minnesota, And I'm trying to think of which defenseman you bring back. Scandella. Like, that might fix 2 problems with 1 trade. Maybe JVR goes... But see, if you send JVR to Minnesota, Minnesota has to expose another forward. So a lot of pieces. A lot of pieces. You guys can let me know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. And remember, of the rumors that get reported, 90% don't happen. And of the rumors that happen, 90% of them aren't reported. So it is that wacky time of year. You guys can let me know in the comments below who you think is going to go. It's trade proposal time. Go for it. Trade proposals. And no, Mason Raymond... Raymond Ballard and a first from the Canucks doesn't get you anything this time. I know the first is 5th overall, but other teams are aware Raymond and Ballard are gone. So, Canuck fans now, it has to be Brendan Gaunce, Chris Tanev, and a first. Seems to be where you're going. So just keep that up, and keep your chin up. I haven't got into the playoffs. The teams have missed the playoffs yet. I assume there's an article in here. I'll keep digging, and we'll discuss what those 14 teams need. But with these 8, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And thank you so much for watching.